Shuffling. No, we just did shuffling. This is double stops. Double stops are fun. I love double stops because it's really kind of fun because if you're one of my students, you'll know that I've been telling you only play one string. Don't touch any other string with your bow. Now all of a sudden I'm going to say, guess what? Bow two strings at one time, which that's what a double stop is. A double stop is when you're playing two strings at the same time, making a drone noise. There's your double stop. Without it, it's add the double stop. Almost sounds like a set of pipes if you do it right. And somebody asked me one time, how do I know which side to drone on? Most of the time your drone, and this is just my own personal experience, most of the time your drone string is going to be to the left. Like if I'm playing my A string as a melody, my drone is going to be the D. Now occasionally, depending on the key that I'm in, it'll be to the right, but most of the time your drone string is going to be to your left. So a good exercise on this, if you're one of my students, you'll remember that when we first started playing one string at a time, we did this little exercise going like this. So remember that little exercise, and from that we're gonna drone. But before we do that, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's try it with two open strings. We'll start with the E string and the A string. So here we go. And it'll take a while to find that sweet spot. Everybody's bridge is a little bit different. My bridge is a little flatter. I don't know if I can't look down far enough to, let me see it. GoPro on my head here is kind of, anyhow. But some bridges are a little, so you've got to work a little harder to get that double stop, to hit both strings at the same time. A lot of old-timey fiddlers' bridges are flatter, makes it easier for double stops. But so it might take you a little bit to find that little, like what I call a sweet spot. Start slow, start on your E string, and as you're moving, kind of rotate over to the left until you find that other string. And sometimes you may go too far and you may wind up getting into that D string, but that's okay. Don't worry about it at this point in time. It's just take your time and just. And after you've done that for a while, kind of get used to it, and then you'll go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then move over, do the same thing again with your A string and your D string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I hope you're doing this with me. And then lastly, D string to the G string. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you want to, go back to the D and the A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the A and the E. 1. See, I didn't hit it quite right either, so it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody once in a while kind of misses. The trick is don't stop. I just stopped. You don't want to stop. If you keep going, most of the time nobody will ever know you made a mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. And then, if you get comfortable doing that, when you found that sweet spot, then start adding some fingering to it, like that exercise I was telling you about. So you go, we'll start together here, like we're going to do. Alright, so here we go. We're going to do that, but we're going to do it with double stops. Do the E string and the A string. So 1, 2, ready, go. Now over to the A and the D. Now over to the D and the G. I just fingered on the G string. Did I do the D string? See, I'm losing it. I can't remember. So, and then see, now that was the case where your drone was to the right. If I'm on the G string, my drone is to the right. But I'm going to do it on the D string now. So the D. So this is for real, the D string. So 1, 2, ready, go. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, I guess if I was like your proper guy, I would go back and start all over again. But man, I'm 7 minutes into the video and I don't want to do that. I'm basically a lazy person. So practice that, work on that, those double stops, and then once you get really comfortable on that, start incorporating the shuffles that we talked about in a previous video. And I don't know, they always sound better on the low side, the dark side. But we're going to work with the A and the D with the shuffle. But we're going to shuffle with the double stop. And you remember what the very first shuffle was? Remember that? So let's do that together here. And we're working on the A and the D string. So 1, 2, ready, go. Yeah, just do that, repeat that, do it over and over again. And for the sake of time, when you're practicing on your own, do it on the E and the A. And the D and the G. But that'll get you good and comfortable with the shuffle, and you're probably still going to have a little trouble finding that sweet spot, but that'll help you get more used to it. And you may not be, you may have dove right into it and done fine, but and I'll bet you did. But the more you do this, the easier it'll get. The more you practice, it's like with anything, the easier that'll get. So, and then to apply that to a tune, say I keep going back to Angeline the Baker. I don't know why, but that's kind of a fun tune to shuffle with. And a lot of times when you start a tune, you will shuffle them with a double stop. Like, here's an example, just like what I call a 4 potatoes. 4 potatoes is 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4 potato. Yeah, so you're basically going. Remember, that's the short shuffle I was telling you about, because you're doing, instead of doing the, not really sound that much different, but the short shuffle is just a little bit quicker. So with Angeline the Baker, you'd be doing something like this, and we're going to start from the beginning. So 1, 2, and it's weird counting it off, because usually when you do a shuffle, you don't have to count it, but I'm going to count it and then start the shuffle and then start the tune. So 1, 2, ready, go. Aha, no, I messed up. I went right into it. You see, that's why we don't count and shuffle. So here we go. I'm going to count and shuffle. 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 3, 4. Okay, in all realism there, that was overly shuffled. That was overly double stopped. But that's a good way to practice to get started. I mean, overdo it while you're practicing, because the more you do it, the more easier it'll get. So eventually, what will happen is, on say, okay, Angeline. If I was really playing Angeline the Breaker, I'm going to really play it. So here we go. Now YouTube has a neat little gadget called the slower downer. If you go to the settings, the little gear, click on that, and you click on the playback, there'll be an option that says playback speed, and you can slow it down, and that'll let you see what I did there a little bit easier. I was kind of showing off. That was a little quick, but that's where, I mean, there was a lot of double stop, a lot of shuffling, but not as much as it wasn't constant. And I get asked, how do I know when to double stop? How do I know when to double stop and shuffle? And like for me, I have no real rhyme or reason. A lot of it's feel, and you will get that feel. You listen to other people play. You listen to great music, great old time fiddle players, John Hartford, Tommy Jarrell. Listen to these guys, and you'll get ideas. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some other double stop trivia, double stop fun thing. But that will, like I said, that will help you the more you practice. You know, like, okay, say for the jig rhythm, like if you're doing a 6/8, like a jig, what you do. It's interspersed in there, the double stop is. Anyhow, that's going to get me off on a whole nother tangent if I'm not careful there. But the double stops, they can be really fun. They can be really handy. Old Joe Clark. So let's see. There's another example. My drone's on the A string, right? Now it's going to switch over to the E. Back to the A drone. Now here's another fun thing. Look with say the old Joe Clark. Your drone does not have to be an open string. So I'm using you can. So your drone can be anything. Double stop. Your double stop can be. So that's something else. Just I say you should just experiment when you're practicing, horse around with it. The bottom line is have fun with it. the double stops, they're a nice tool, handy tool, very handy tool. And I'm once again drawing a blank of what else I can show you with it. But just practice that. And use the shuffle with it. Alright, I hope that makes sense, and I hope you've gotten something out of that. If you have, if you're not one of my students, I hope you'll consider leaving a donation on PayPal. My ID is Wayne@FlyingFiddler.com, WAYNE@FLYINFIDDLER.com. Had to stop and think about it. Can't even spell fiddler. If you are one of my students currently, whether you're an online student or here in person in my studio, hey, you're golden. Don't send me any extra money. You've already paid for it. And like I say, I hope this helps. I hope, if not, please, and you have any questions at all, you can always call me or text me at 405-595-8629. All right. Thank you again for listening.